Hey, Internet. Welcome back to Same-ish Different Day, the podcast where we continue the march into madness. I'm Raza Malik, and I'm joined with my Amazeballs co-host, Bayley Nargang. Also featuring the lovely Wine Mom, the arbiter of everything TikTok and YouTube.
Hey, it's Wine Mom.
Bayley here. Gotta drop that reminder that you can find this show on any streaming service you use. Remember to leave a sassy review, and you want to bash us or our opinions generally? Well, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and maybe some other places in the future.
I join these guys weekly to keep their egos in check as we break down complex social issues and talk about why your kids shouldn't be watching family vloggers.
We talk about real-ish on a real level. Ain't got time for the Twitters? Don't worry, we have collectively wasted our existence combing the internet for you.
Also, before these two get carried away, don't be shy. Join our Discord for the inside scoop. You can also support us on Patreon, where you can work your way up our very own class system. And don't worry, it's pay to win.
So, welcome back to another episode of Same Shit, Different Day, where we try not to rip each other's heads off.
Let's get it. What's up, internets? Welcome to Same-ish Different Day, the podcast with a name that we can't say anymore. So this week, we live in Canada, and there's been a lot of hectic stuff going on. We kind of wanted to talk about something adjacent, because otherwise, we're all just going to end up, yelling about bad people all night, and that's not a fun podcast for anybody. So, something that happened last week was Bell Let's Talk. So this, in Canada, is a major phone company named Bell. Each year, annually, they run a mental health, advertising campaign, pretty much, where somehow they promise donation amounts per retweet or per post about it, even though there's no darn way they actually track the hashtags to dump money in it. Raza, could you help add context to this and talk about what the messy part is?
The messy part is that Bell, when they do this stuff, at the same time they're raising the prices of their services, making it harder for lower income people to access the services that they are creating for mental health, like calling to their service because they can't use the phones because they can't afford the plans. Now there are things where they can do it for free, but Bell at the same time is saying, here's a mental health help thing, but we're going to take away a bunch of other things that make it easier to access those services at the same time, and the government is in our pockets at the same time of that.
And I just blew the script, didn't I? Because I did it backwards. I introduced the second topic first. Okay. So I introduced that. I can use that, and Raza still adds a good context, right? So something that's like a big problem in Canada is we have a lot of these telecommunications giants, just like the states. You got Verizon, you got what's the
T-Mobile,
T-Mobile, right? But
Verizon.
in the states, because it's good old capitalism, right? It's just a free market. They could go nuts. But in Canada, we got three giants that are contractually own the entire market, and that's Bell, Rogers, and TELUS. Okay? So what happens in the scenario is not only do they prop up advocacy issues that could be important to other people as a means to fundraise and advertise their own services, they also create a control on the market that, as Raza said, creates barriers of access to people, because you need to get a phone with one of these three companies or else you're fucked. You're screwed. And so it's this stranglehold they have on the market that really makes it so statistically and mathematically we can pull up sources that Canada has some of the highest phone plan prices in the world, right? And it's all due to the fees that these communication companies are able to charge on top of it.
Mm-hmm. And these because there is a monopoly, if there's any smaller companies, like we have smaller companies like Fido, Kudo, what's the other? Chatter, Freedom, and all that. We have smaller companies that piggyback off of the lines of the three big ones, so they're still getting the money. And when Bell or Rogers or Telus increases their phone services, the smaller companies prices, the smaller companies increase them at the same time, because
Mm-hmm.
they have to make up for that cost. That's how they control a huge chunk of that mobile market. Back to you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, sir. This is actually where I throw it to Wine Mom, because we were throwing, me and Raza were sitting there complaining about the monopoly that these guys carry, and you brought up an important pop culture fact. Can you throw it at me?
Oh, now it's gone. I forgot it because you said it that way.
Well, it's mint.
Oh,
It's
the thing.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
but what I was thinking to say is like the monopoly of these three big companies is kind of a fairly new thing because when cell phones first came out,
Mm-hmm.
it was Rogers, Bell, and Telus. Yes. And then in like the mid to late 2000s, I guess like 2010s or whatever we're calling them because we're in 2020. I don't know, like 2006 to 2015, let's say. There was a period of time when it was like a bunch of small companies that were standalone. They weren't owned by other businesses. They shared the same bandwidth, I think, or the whatever that they use to create communication, but they were still standalone companies. And that's like when I was in high school, I was with Mobilicity. And so that was like the brand new company that you could get the cheapest plan. And I remember at that time, my phone plan for unlimited everything, because that was when unlimited was like the thing that everyone was crazy for, because it had first come out at that time. It was something like $30 a month for me to have unlimited everything. And then they moved company, so they got bought out by Chatter, and then with Chatter
Yeah.
my bill went up to like $40 a month unlimited everything with limitations. And then now Chatter is owned by Rogers. And so what I'm noticing from these big companies is what they do now is they're buying companies like Mobilicity and Chatter,
Mm-hmm.
right? And because Chatter bought Mobilicity and then Rogers bought Chatter. So
So
when they do that, what they do is they start taking all of their clients. Like, so I'm grandfathered
yeah.
in my contract. My bill is relatively low because I'm grandfathered. I've been with them for almost 20 years. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky with my plan. But because of that, they constantly, like Rogers is constantly emailing me, texting me, calling me, trying to get me to switch to a Rogers plan that is like $10-15 more than what I pay monthly for like
Yeah.
not even as good
Yeah.
of a deal of what I'm getting now.
Yeah. So
And
what you're
then
not wrong about is like, and it's really cool, and to add that context, because it was like I think it was Stephen Harper's early years that actually shifted when
Yeah.
Mobilicity started. They were able to access the market not through a third party, but
Right.
when this Chatter and stuff started buying all these brands, that
Yeah.
was when the law was shifted back to put more power and control into the hands of
Exactly.
Rogers and Bell and stuff. So that's why,
Yeah.
because you're totally right, because they started buying the other companies so that they can absorb them into their contracts. And you're doing
Right.
the wise thing by like, yeah, heads up to the podcast listeners out there is like, yeah, if you're grandfathered in on a contract, make sure you hold on to that thing for dear life, because
Hold,
they gotta honor it.
literally hold it. Literally hold
okay,
it.
so I have a story to tell you on that. We thought we were grandfathered in,
Mm.
at Bell, and then like they every 3 or 2 months they would, no, not months, 1 or 2 years they would increase the price slowly.
Yeah.
The point where we were paying about $600 every month for everything,
What?
including internet and TV and phone
Damn.
and stuff like that. So we cut out. The only thing that we're doing through Bell is the internet, and that's it. Our TV
Yeah.
is we don't even have TV anymore. If you know what
Well,
I mean.
because
But oh, sorry, yeah, go. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
But the last point, and then we switched our phone services to Kudo, which is still Telus, but we're kind of
But it's different.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
the thing for me is I feel like phone plans, I feel like a lot of people think phone plans are the big issue. I don't really think phone plans are that much of an issue because you can still get a really good phone plan for around $40 a month. Like you can, if you're willing to like fight with them a little bit, barter,
Mm-hmm.
come with your own cell phone, like your own
Yes.
outright own cell phone. Because this is the thing, this is a very big thing. I feel like we don't tell people in our generation enough. You're getting scammed when you sign a contract with a brand new cell phone. You're getting scammed. I don't care what anyone
Yeah.
tells you, you're
I
getting scammed. You're
It
getting
depends.
scammed because
It depends
at
on
the
it.
end,
Why?
no,
Why do you
Bailey, because
think? Why do you think?
because I'm trying to tell you that. The
Yeah.
reason I think that is because depending on the person, right? When you've had the phone for a long period of time, you end up paying more for the phone than if you had bought it outright.
Yeah.
So for me, in my instance, right, what I do is every time I buy a new phone, I buy it from some dumb idiot that's paid full price for it somewhere else. So I usually buy a model a year behind, and then I can go to any company and I'm only gonna right away I'm gonna pay $40 a month. And sometimes even they'll give you half off your first month. So then you're $20 with your phone that you've already outright bought and owned, so you don't have to pay on top of it for your phone. It's the same thing when you get into arguments like with cars, when people are like leasing versus um renting versus owning and all of that stuff. It's like it's almost always better to outright own it. And like, for me personally, I think like especially with cell phones, because that makes your plan cheaper when you already own the phone.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done some while you guys were talking. I was doing some comparisons here, and so in context to what we have to deal with in Canada, Verizon in the States is offering the basic package, which is for a family plan for 4 people with unlimited data, and it seems to be unlimited text or calling and blah blah for $35 a
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right. Yeah.
TELUS is offering the exact same the exact same plan, but I think it's less in there. Like calling has minutes for $65 a month
Yeah.
Canadian. So Americans are paying $44 Canadian at that basic package, and they're
Right.
still saving money.
Okay, but so this is what I wanted to say to continue on with the phone thing, right? So so I've explained to you why I think owning a phone is better. Plus, also, let's just say buying phones from somebody else on like Facebook Marketplace or something, you're helping the environment. That's another big thing. It's like, why not buy somebody else's phone they had for 6 months? Like, why not? My phone that I have now, the guy bought it. He had it for 3 months. It didn't like it. The phone is basically, it's literally brand new. Like, you said he bought it. He didn't like it. He held on to it for 3 months and then resold it to me for almost half the price of what he paid for it. Perfect. I even talked him down and got it for cheaper than he was offering it for. So that's why I'm saying like it's worth it in that sense if you're trying to be better for the economy and you're also trying
Yeah.
to save your own pocket, because phones are good for 2 to 5 years. Like, let's be real, people need to stop saying that you need to change them so often. Anyways, but that's my own personal
No,
vendetta with cell phones.
it's good to say that cars phones are like cars. They depreciate
Yeah.
in value exceptionally quick, and you have no idea what the next model coming out is gonna look
Right.
like to make it obsolete.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yes, you're
And
right.
like
If you
you're
buy
good for
new,
5
if you
years.
lease,
Yeah.
yeah,
Anyways,
it's
so
not
that's
smart.
that's the thing with phones, right? But I feel like
Okay.
phones aren't even the bigger problem, because with
No.
phones you can shop it like that by coming to a company with your
Yeah.
own phone, because they'll always say to you, "Well, do you have your own cell phone?" And I'm always like, "Yup." So give me cheaper. But
Mm-hmm.
the bigger issue is internet. The bigger issue is always internet, because when you have internet, especially now with the pandemic, everybody's at home. So for a long time, you could get by using a really short bandwidth on your internet. Like, your internet didn't have to be good because you just needed it to like maybe stream some Netflix when you were home
Mm-hmm.
and be on the Wi-Fi with your cell phone. But now most people are trying to be content creators. They're working from home. You have multiple people working from home. Maybe your kid wants to be a streamer. You're also trying to watch Netflix. Your home security system relies on the internet. Like, all these things are relying on internet. So internet now is just getting more and more expensive. And
Mm-hmm.
so many people I know are paying like $200-300 a month for their internet. And I'm just like, why?
Yeah. So
How is it
yeah.
justified? Like,
Yeah. So
that's robbery.
Yeah,
Yep.
because like it happens like yeah, like when like the same thing when these companies have the sort of this hold on the market, they're able to see, oh,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna be home so much more, like for excuse me, they're gonna be home for longer. Let's jack up the price because then they're gonna be using more internet, and they're gonna justify it because if you're gonna be using more internet, you have to pay more. That's how they justify it. But
Yes.
if you look at other countries, like my country and like my home, well, not my country, but my my Pakistan, but that they have kind of more affordable plans, and their population was also inside. And the reason why I use them as an example is because nobody had to starve as much,
Yeah.
like using those plans. But those are a
Right.
different issue there.
And also, if you're any kind of business owner, like
Mhm.
you're spending ridiculous amounts on your internet. Because this is a secret thing that I feel like not a lot of people, you guys are going to be like, yeah, we already know this, duh. But like a lot of people actually don't know this, and I didn't
Mhm.
learn this until a few years ago. Um, is like when you have your internet, you actually have two sets of internet. Which like we learned this when we were in the studio last time. Bailey was like, "Oh, I'm going to put you guys on this part of the internet, and I'm going to use this part of the internet for streaming." So it's like you technically have two. What is it? How does it work,
Well, there
Bailey? You
are.
have to
This
explain
is
it
like
because I'm
I
not.
have. There
Because this
there
is like a
are.
secret that people don't know
No,
in their
that's
homes.
like you have to buy a router. It depends on what type of router you have.
Right.
Certain
Yeah.
routers can
Yes.
create
Is
multiple
it dual band?
networks.
I
Yes,
think
so
something
it
like
can
that.
like
Yeah.
create multiple of them. Now you
But
are
Yeah.
most,
technically correct. There are two different gigahertz of internet.
yes,
So when people are
right,
selecting their
Speeds.
internet packages, yeah, they're not a lot of like average Joes don't acknowledge the actual like gigahertz rate that they're purchasing. They're gonna
right,
pay the
Mhm.
$100 package because it says 200 gigabytes, but they have no idea
yes.
that they just bought slow fucking internet.
Okay, so this
Right.
is what I'm trying to say is what a lot of people don't optimize their internet service properly. So like when I
Mhm.
was working in the salon before, all the internet was all on, like everyone was all using, all the clients were using the same bandwidth as the front desk like system operations was using. And I would say to him like, why is the internet so slow? It's ridiculously slow. You pay all this money for the internet, and it's like, we have a good plan, I don't understand. And so finally when I called them, they were like, oh, okay, well, you have a business, so like we'll tell you the secret about like the two separate internet. So like you can give the slower portion of internet to your clients for the Wi-Fi on their phones, because like who fucking cares? And then you have the stronger internet for your actual business. So it's like these are
Mm-hmm.
things that like if people knew that in their homes, like people who like to stream from home, like you want to
Yeah.
be, if you're a streamer, you want to be on the stronger internet. You want to give the slow
Yeah.
internet to your
So
people
yeah.
who are
So
like streaming Netflix or using their cell phones.
It's
so
also
you
our
ready?
infrastructure too. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, because I was gonna go off about infrastructure. So you start, and I'm gonna go deep nerd about it
That's
first.
literally, I was just gonna say,
That's all he
our
has.
infrastructure is
Infrastructure.
so old. It's old. Like you look at like South Korea and places like
Yeah.
Japan, who actually have crazy internet, newer internet, cheaper internet because they're constantly updating us. For some reason, the we just want to. It's going back in the
Well,
coffers of Bell. That's what
exactly.
I.
So then that's the argument. This is where I know you're the leftist, but this is where a capitalist conservative would say, well, that's why the free market is better, because if we only have those three people, then Bell's only going to do as much work as they need to maintain them, and they have absolutely no incentive to improve them because everyone has to buy off them, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
What's the
that's the
point
issue
of
with the
buying?
market. So then arguably we'd want to open it up. But Wine Mom, you'd get this, but I'm not sure if you know this, right?
Okay.
So the part that they don't tell you, right, is they give you internet, right? But
Mhm.
just like there's a
Mhm.
server, right? Like every like your neighborhood, it's not like it all individually goes back to Rogers. They have to send all of your neighborhood's internet back to a single hub, right?
Yes. Yes.
So what they don't tell you, they'll sell you whatever gigahertz internet because that's how fast it is going to that hub, but they
Yes.
won't tell you how many people are collected to the same. It's called a node. So your
Yes.
internet could be connected with 5 other Twitch streamers, and then
Yes.
your bit rate is going to go down the toilet. And the thing is, because of what I just said, since the one company is responsible, they're not going to change it or admit what is there because they don't have to, because they're the only ones doing it. So
Yeah,
that's
see,
how the fuckery happens.
well, see, I know about this. I know about the node because okay, so where I live in an apartment building in a complex, right? So here, when you live in a place of like a, I guess my grandmother always, or my mother always uses the term of like people who are in the business of renting. When you rent from like, not from a landlord, right? Um, Usually you can get like a benefit when you move in. So like my building, we all have Rogers boxes through Rogers. And then
Yeah.
there's some sort of like internet that they're talking about bundling. Like basically it's like a bundle for everybody that's like really cheap to like have cable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we have like a, like Bailey was saying, like a node or whatever. We have one in the building. So every time somebody gets internet from a different company, so like because my internet's with Fido, which is with Rogers.
Yeah.
So because of that, I didn't have to. But if it's somebody from Bell, Bell has to come here and install your internet into the node thing you were just talking about. So we have like a box in our underground that they're like, okay, this person's getting it, we have to come in and connect it from this way before we give them the router. So that's how I know about that, because we have a whole bunch of different companies that are basically like competing to use the one, I guess,
Yeah.
hub space in the building. And so what I notice is like when that happens, it offsets other things. So like when there was a period of time where there was a small internet company that was very cheap and everybody was switching to that internet company. And at that time it was an individual internet company. It wasn't owned by any of the big giants. And they came in and installed their thing into the building. And then suddenly everybody in the building was complaining that their Rogers was not working.
Yeah. Because
Is because they started to compete.
It's because they're
Yeah.
all accessing it. No, it's because Rogers owns it, and then Rogers sells them a portion of the total bandwidth running through that box. But then Rogers doesn't tell you that that means they took X amount out of your whole building's bandwidth to give them that pathing. So then the more companies you put on, the closer, more it gets chipped down, right?
Exactly.
So that's the issue with one company owning it, because then otherwise, if they were competing, then Fido would be running in there and they want to install their own one, and then and then they would all be trying to build better internet infrastructure. But instead, we have this sad, poor system that we have. So please, members of our fandom, I want to bring up the pop culture one, which was Ryan Reynolds, right? Our Canadian hero. All praise be to thee. This man's, he bought into a company called Mint, right? And he's trying to bring it to Canada, which is like a good actual example if you want to do a Google of how to like counteract this, right? Like if you want to open up the market, you want to open it up to another competitor so that they could like purchase stuff. Raza, did you read anything about Mint? Because I don't know too much about it.
It's like extremely cheap. It's like starts at $15 a month.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What's the
well, because this
USD?
Well, because this is a thing, right? On TikTok recently, I know I always reference TikTok, but
oh shit,
on TikTok recently, I've come across this guy on there who's currently homeless in Toronto, and he has an iPhone which he pays a plan for to have, and he has a TikTok account, and he posts TikToks, and people were like, "Oh, like if you're homeless and you don't have any money, like how do you have a cell phone and you're paying for a cell phone?" And like, "Oh, see, you choose to live this way." And he was like, "No, you literally, like, in this world, if you have nothing else, you need a cell phone, because you need to be able to contact people. You need, in case of emergencies, you need it for travel, you need it for paying for buses, you need it in order to find job interviews, to go to job interviews. You literally, like, your choices: have a cell phone or be disconnected from the world. And already being homeless, you're already severely disconnected. So
No, bro,
having that cell phone connects you.
There ain't no motherfucking payphones no more. They're right. If you do,
Exactly.
there's no way to use a public telephone, so you need
No.
it.
Yeah.
It's
You
crazy.
need it.
It's a massive
That's
technological
why,
barrier.
and
It's
then
basically like clothing
Bell,
now.
Bell was. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere Bell was in charge because all the payphones are.
Yeah.
We're
Remember?
Bell. Yeah.
Were Bell.
Yeah.
So they were able to be like, why don't we just do this? And then at the same time, they're like, oh, let's help the depressed people. And then
Bro,
Because
charge them out the butthole.
taking away payphones was the biggest mistake of our
'Cause-
generation.
that was an issue this winter with the unhoused population. That because the numbers to get into the shelter for Toronto, to get into the COVID safety shelters, were 24-hour telephone lines. But if you don't own a cell phone, how the
You're fucked.
fuck are you calling a 24-hour cell phone line?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
But I think it's also like people don't understand that, like,
For
because
freedom,
with
man.
cell phones, right? But I think like this is the thing. Cell phone companies are so shady with how they explain how their companies work, right? Because originally when cell phones first were a thing, right? Like you had the old school brick phones or the flip phones. When they first came out, the only way you could use a phone was with a pay card. So you would go to the corner store or to the company or wherever, and you would buy your top-up card. And that would be like your 600 text messages and then like your 20 minutes of phone call, right? You would go and you would pay for that. Nowadays, people think, okay, you can only have a plan. No, you can actually still go and buy top-up cards. So a lot of these people that are homeless and have cell phones, sometimes they're not paying for actual plans. They're still using top-up formats. So it's like,
Yeah.
people need to like shut up and stop assuming things. Because like for me, like when I saw him with a cell phone, I did not even think twice about how he was paying for it, why he has it,
Yeah.
if he has money for a cell phone, why he doesn't have money for anything else. Because if you have anything, it's at least a form of communication. Especially because of the way that I feel, right? Especially because of the way that I feel with the true crime community. Everybody should have a cell phone, even if it doesn't work because it'll always connect to 911. Everybody should have a cell phone.
In Pakistan, even the poor people have cell phones because it's so affordable. Everybody in that country has a cell phone. It's not even this. It's a flip phone or something. Like people have a way to communicate in them.
At least.
Bro, Africa. I was in Africa, and you're talking about those cards. You're in Africa, you could buy those cards at the stall on the side of the road. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like 50
It's
cents
so
of
cheap,
their dollars,
too.
not even my money.
Yeah.
Like, they can affordably just buy the fucking card. They don't have to lock into contracts. Like you said, they just buy a phone and they buy one of these cards and punch in a number and the phone works. That's how simple this shit is. You don't have to lock in a predatory contract.
The biggest... Yeah, sorry,
I'm done ranting!
The biggest move, which was it kind of like I do think it was, I don't know how many people feel about it, but the CRTC got involved with this, which is our body that governs the telecommunications company. Am I saying that right, Bayley?
Yeah, it's this. The CRTC, the Canada Radio and Telecommunications Council, I think.
They set the rules of what gets broadcasted on the radio, on TV, whatever the fuck. So, with the removal of 3-year phone plans, that was apparently a pretty big move to 2-year phone plans, which studies have found that doesn't really change anything. It just charges up more and stuff. So initially it was good, but then after a while, CRTC stopped paying attention and companies started to raise prices back to normal again. That happened. So I think if this Mint Mobile comes into Canada, it's going to be heavily scrutinized. Bell is going to cry about it, which they... Okay, so last year, I think last year or 2 years ago, it was either Verizon or AT&T that wanted to expand into Canada. and
Yeah.
that was a big no-no.
Yeah, they wouldn't let
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
I think
that
it
was
was
a big no-no.
Verizon.
Verizon, yeah,
Yeah.
and that was a big no-no. Bell said it's gonna ruin our 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 marketplace. We're
Which is
like,
so
No,
weird
because
they
no,
let
no,
Fi-
Joe.
they let
capitalism.
Fido come, and Fido's American. It was American
What?
Was
first.
it?
But
Oh.
yeah, because they thought they were a tiny fish, and then it was
Yeah.
because Rogers already had a percentage of them, so they were like, "All
Yeah.
right, you can come in, you twats, because we already got Rogers under our thumb." Bell literally sits there. They're sitting there like, "Oh well, we built the lines. Well, we invented the telephone, so we get to
Exactly,
charge
Bell.
everybody for it."
I didn't
Uh,
Well,
even
it's like
think of
that's the thing is like because maybe it was just the way that because nowadays kids like having a cell phone, especially like the newest cell phone, is a right and not a privilege, right? And for
mhm.
me, having a cell phone was a privilege. I remember having a cell phone at my first job, having a cell phone, and like I couldn't like it was my first job, so I didn't have enough money to like have a plan, so I would like buy enough card so that I could talk to whoever. And I remember taking my lunch break and walking across to the Walmart and calling my grandmother on the payphone. Like
Oh,
that's what I did. And it's like
Yeah.
so the reason why I was even with Mobilicity in the first place is because at that time you had a monthly bill. So like every month your phone plan would say it's $30 every month for your phone plan. But let's say this month you don't have the money to pay for the phone plan. So instead, they would just cut your phone off and you wouldn't acquire any debt and there would be no interest. It would just be like, you can't pay this month, so you don't have a phone this month,
Yeah.
right?
So what happened is
So,
those contracts slowly disappeared as the companies became
no,
more predatory.
no. I still have that agreement with my company.
Yeah.
Because you're right, it's really it's
Because
hard
yeah.
to have it anymore. I have it because I'm grandfathered in. So every time when I like for me personally, every time I get a call from like Rogers or Bell trying to switch me over, the first thing
yeah.
I say to them is if I don't have my money to pay for my phone bill come
Mhm.
the 16th of the month, are you guys going to keep adding to that bill, or are you going to cut the phone off so that until I can pay it I don't have a cell phone? And they were like, oh no, we keep the cell phone on and we just acquire the charge, we just add it
Yes.
on. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
Uh,
So
that's so
this is
to
why.
me
So
that's
this
so
is
predatory and
yeah.
gross.
And that's why it's bad to have them having such a control over the market, right?
Right.
Because they're able to manipulate the contracts to a point that you're stuck, right? Like you, as you said, you can't get a deal like that anymore. So that is
Mhm.
because of them just slowly being able to chokehold the market year after year until you're
Like
stuck in a
you
position that you
there
have either a new contract that's going to get you out of this, or you have to sit there and argue on the phone. Which one do you want more?
well, there are still companies that offer that. Like Freedom does it, Mobilicity does
mm,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Fido
Kudo, I'm
used to
pretty
do
sure does.
it, doesn't do it anymore. Kudo
I think,
does it.
yeah.
But it's like that's how you should do phones. Because of course with for security reasons you want the
But
phone to like continue
that's
working
the
if you can't pay for it. But you can always use 911 on a that's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
and well
And
Also,
that's
that's
the
why but that's why I think taking away payphones was a big fuck up because
it would be
for that
free.
reason.
Now on the free, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say I was looking into Mint Mobile, and the reason
yeah.
why it's a nightmare for Bell and all those companies coming in, because it offers plans that are either 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, right? So the more plans or the more months you pay up front, the less your bill will be. So for a for a 3 month plan is $40, and for 6 months is $35, and for 12 months it's $30.
That's cool.
Wow.
That's good.
Yeah,
I like that. That's awesome. Fuck yeah,
and
Ryan
then
Reynolds.
of course you can choose your data amount. So those it that fits you. What it said. I'm reading off the site, and thank
There you
you,
go.
Reynolds. And what it and then to feed one to jump on one mom's side, you can bring in your own phone, and those prices are dropped down even more based on your phone, I think. So
See,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is like how many people have old cell phones?
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
so for me, because I always buy secondhand, every time
Mhm.
I buy a new phone, I keep my old phone. I do that for one specific reason, which is my grandmother
Mhm.
because she will never upgrade her phone. So every time I buy a new phone, I force her to
Yeah.
upgrade. And then I keep her old phone because you never know when someone's going to break a phone, lose a phone, or a young person wants to have a phone or you need a backup phone for something,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. So that's why
Like yeah,
I buy secondhand. I just think it's better, so much better.
I gave my mom my old, like just like the phone I was just using
Yeah.
before I got this one. There's nothing wrong with it. Works fine. It just
Hmm.
it isn't like supported by Samsung and
Yeah.
anymore. And she still uses it. Works fine.
Yeah.
It's quicker. Like her old phone, it was came out in 2013, so it made sense. But uh, it just yeah, I that's how it works. I just like have an old phone.
Yeah. I
There you
wanted
go.
a
No,
better camera, so I bought a
Yeah.
newer phone. My
no, I
grandmother doesn't need a better camera, so I gave her my old one.
And I remember what you're complaining about back in the day too, when mom, because I went through so many flip phones. Like as a kid who was skateboarding and always fucking around, bro. I snapped so many of those little teeny dinky things in half. Like, oh my god, I
Yeah.
probably went through 5 of
And
them.
Hmm.
the messed up part, like, okay, until like, well, you're saying breaking shit. Like, when I would get my phones initially, I would always pay for the insurance, right? But then
Hmm.
apparently after two, it's done, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to do like the actual phone cost. So then every time I would do that, I was just like, I'm just gonna get a new phone at that point. So it
Yeah,
just like yeah, these companies are making it sort of like harder for us
Yeah.
to. That's why like I do think the smaller companies are going to become a little bit overset, like over bloated
Yeah.
because
yeah,
the people think they're
yeah.
Yeah.
paying a
Because they
different
don't know
company,
how
but
it
like
actually works. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
because
because Kudo
at least, yeah, Wine
is
Mom, you're
still
aware
Nutellus.
here how all the fucking
Yeah,
trickery happens.
Yeah.
90% of
Well,
people ain't,
yeah,
well,
right?
this is the thing, and that's why I wanted to make a point of saying it because whoever's gonna watch this later, like you're gonna think twice now about your phones and how you buy things and do things. It's like even
especially
like
Canadians.
yes, it's like one of the people that I work with right now. She just got her license, so she's trying to get a car. And
Yeah.
I said to her, "What is your budget for your car?" Her budget is ridiculously high. I'm like, "Girl, buy a secondhand car for really cheap. Take the rest of the money to pay your insurance for the year.
My
Easy. Then you're
Mercedes,
set.
fine.
You have a
Hmm.
car that's yours, you own it, and you have a year worth of insurance paid off. And then you
Hmm.
can save up money. You want to buy a new car, you want to lease later on, maybe you want something different, deal with it at that time. But for now, to get yourself on the road, you're good. You're gravy. You can cover a whole year just with what you want to pay for a car.
Hmm.
But my
Yeah.
boss is like, no, you got to lease. It's the better deal. And I'm like, no, it's not because you end up paying more for the car at the end of the lease than if you just buy yourself. Listen, you can buy an old car for under $3,000. Okay. Why would you
Hmm.
go and lease a $20,000 car? Why?
Because I really want that Mercedes one.
No.
You have no
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop it.
I'm really just trying to
No.
flex on the TikTok
So
here, bro. I need to make a
Embarrassing.
quick come
so
up
don't
splash, you
so
know?
stream. Don't listen to that liberal BS. You're gonna go out and buy a $25,000 caddy. All right.
No, you're
All
not.
Consume! Consume!
right.
No, but even still, like I say this as somebody who I have full intent of buying a newer car within the
Mhm.
next couple of years. But I knew my first car, I was like, I want old, I want cheap, and I want good enough to get me where I need to go for the next couple
Yeah.
of years.
Yeah.
Especially when you
Ultimately.
first start driving, like chill out, bro. You're going to stress yourself out so much. It's like my grandmother always says, she purposely all of her cars, she's always bought them well secondhand. Like she buys old cars, and she's like, when I'm in the parking lot and somebody rolls up next to my car and they swing their door open and they ding the side of my door, I don't care. But that guy in the Lexus across from me, when somebody swings open their door and bumps his new 2020 Lexus, he's gonna care a lot. And it's like, you're
Yeah.
right. I don't want that stress. Thank you.
All right, fair,
Um.
fair, valid,
Um.
valid.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Unless you're a GDM guy who's into those type of cars, yeah, your whole goal should you
Yeah.
should be looking at if the car can get you to point A to point B at the fastest route
I
possible.
mean, okay, I respect that people have niches, right? Like, I'm not
Yeah.
going to go to Bayley and be like, buy an old camera, Bayley, because that's so much more financially reasonable. No, Bailey's in the business of photography. He loves cameras. Like, that's his bag. Obviously, he's going to buy himself a good new model with all the features and the things and the bells and the whistles. I'm not I am not a mechanic. I am not a car racer. I'm not a 24/7 driver. I don't need the newest car available. I just don't. But am I going to buy myself maybe like something else that I care about, like an updated version of? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
it's
I'm
like
like,
you don't need to
yeah.
have the newest, but my point is you don't have to have the newest best of every single thing. Pick a niche, really, if
So,
you
but
must.
when we're relating it back to the plans, though, to
Yeah.
contrast, right?
Oh, he's
Someone
Avatar.
like
You know?
Raza pulls the brown man family hustle, which is kind of how you have to win in the phone plan game in Canada. You gotta like
Mhm.
You have to guilt
constantly
trip them.
call them. Yeah, you gotta constantly be like, yo, what's good? I need a better. You gotta give me better shit. You suck. Like,
We've been here for 12 years. Would you? We invited you
We're
to
gonna
cookout,
leave.
everything, and shit like that. Yeah, like, and they're like, no, sir, we can't. Oh, okay, because I don't want to say this on stream, but and I won't say it on stream. Go on, Bailey.
well,
Say it on
it's so.
stream.
the if you don't, I'll keep talking. I'll keep talking. Are you gonna let it
Go.
rip? Okay. Because that's the bad thing. Because combine that shit, right? You're talking about why, mom, you're getting screwed over. You got to do this, and you got to buy the newest phone, right? If you're not willing to invest the time personally to nag them and be like, yo, give me this. I need that. I need
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
The market is not tailored towards the consumer. So even if you're like a leftist, like liberal hippy dippy, that's still not like, you still want a free market in this case because you want to be able to have the opportunity to have the consumer as the priority. That's why it's
Yeah.
kind of fucky right now, because they're able to like sit there and be like, nope, you know what, this is what it is, you got to deal with it, and please buy the iPhone 12 or else you're a plebeian.
Well, also, keep in mind when you are looking for a phone plan and phone deals, don't be afraid to like ask them, can you do something better? Is there a better deal?
That's
Or
how we
ask
got our
them,
deal,
yeah,
literally.
or ask them to explain the deal better. Or say things like, "Oh, do you guys have like a $5 off for the next 6 months if I do this?"
Mhm.
Ask them, because
Mhm.
these sales representatives, maybe you don't know this, but they
Yeah.
have this little thing called Liberty to give out discounts where they see fit. So, if they're trying to make a sale, just ask. It literally does not hurt to ask. They say no, you say, okay, great, thanks. I'll try Rogers or I'll try Bell.
How many
It's one of them.
times do you ask to speak to the manager? How many times does
Never.
that move? Can you no never?
You
Do
never
you ever
ask
talk
for
to
the
supervisor?
You never ask for the manager, because the a quote unquote lower level employee can do almost the same amount as a
I
manager.
don't
The
know.
only time you want to escalate if it's a financial, like you're already with them and it's a financial issue on your bill, like let's say they charge you a surplus charge or an extra charge for something that you don't feel like you should pay, escalate it to a manager. But if you're trying to get deals, usually a sales rep can work around and give you something. You don't have to escalate it to a manager, because they all have an allowance of like how far they can go and what they can do to like get a sale.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like, so we have done that both as a new customer and as an old customer to get the, well, not me, my dad. And it works 8 out of 10 times
Yeah.
because what Wine Mom says, either way, you're still going to get that discount. But like, but for some reason, for us, it's the manager who's pushing, like who says, "Fine, we'll give you the discount." The store representative doesn't even understand that he can give us a discount because
Yeah.
especially at Bell, I don't think at Bell they make it explicitly aware, but like you have that authority.
Yeah.
Um, so
Also,
we'll give it.
also remember the people that you're like talking to, especially like on the phone and stuff, they're the same, they are you. Okay? So like if you're nice, they're going to do nice things for you. Like when I got my internet plan, me and the guy who helped me get my internet, we're bros. I call him if I got a problem, I call him. I
Yeah.
don't call their service line or whatever. I call him and he's like, "All right, let's discount this." Because here's the thing. We're friends now. He knows me because I'm calling all the time. And he's like, "Okay, I can trust that you're telling me the truth. I'll throw her a little discount." Also, I
Mhm.
annoy him, so he's more likely to give me a discount, so I'll leave him alone. It works.
You're a rare type of individual, and I believe
Yeah.
there's more of you. I believe there's more of you.
The only
So
other person I know who has that experience is Fran. Shout out Fran, because she's sitting
yeah, shout
there,
out.
and it's good. It's good because she's an old lady, so it's wholesome. As we're sitting here bitching about all
Yeah.
these big three, but Tellus, she's got two dudes she can call it Tellus, and they show up and they just do whatever. Because clearly she has no idea what's going on. It's just no idea. Like
It's
you want me to touch a box, it ain't happening. So there's
yeah.
somehow by the fluke of God, there's two mans who actually care about their job in that company.
Well,
Mhm,
because it pays to be nice. It really
mhm.
does. Because think of it this way. It's like if you go to the same coffee shop every day. I know I'm like derailing. We're not talking about phones anymore, but I'm saying this is how you this I'm going to tell you
Commenting.
right now. I'm telling you this is my mom's secret that I learned from her. This is a
All right,
very
Mhm.
bless us.
special important secret.
Yeah.
Bless us.
You can get so much shit by
Mhm.
being nice. Okay? When
Oh
I go
yeah.
shop, my mom goes and shops at the same places all the time. She literally goes to the same stores with the same associates on a regular basis. And when
Mhm.
my mom goes into those stores, those sales associates are literally fighting with each other to give her discounts. They're like, "How do we give you free items? Love you." But you know why? Because she goes in there and she says, "Hi, how are you? How are things? How's school? How's your life?" And actually engages with people and is kind to people. My mom is running around this city with things that she should not have gotten for as cheap as she has gotten them. Okay? And that's how
My
you do it.
yeah, no, that's a lucky thing
Uh
to
huh.
have. My dad, because he also works in the service industry, he's the polar opposite of that. Polar fucking opposite of that. When we're on the phone, the reason why I'm afraid to give him the phone for any customer service because 10 minutes or 3 minutes in, he's already yelling
Yeah.
at the poor. But he tells me after he hangs up with them, he's just like, these people are paid to bullshit you. All right,
Yeah.
they're paid to swindle you. Unless you force their hand, unless you say,
Yeah.
hey, you messed up. You like 9 times out of 10. I I used to think that my dad's kind of like mean to service people, but I still do. I still do, and he's getting better. He's getting chill about it now, thank God, after like 15 years. Uh, but he does have a point. But like, if you're too nice, not to say that your mom or grandma is too nice, they're gonna look at that and be like, we can squeeze them out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, so that's
I
where,
think you're right. It's
yeah,
It's
situational.
but
just
if it is, yeah, it's situational. So
Yeah.
that's why my dad is like a hard ass. Like he spent literally in high school 2 whole days talking with Apple to get my phone, my iPod fixed because it was still under warranty. And
Wow.
that's I was just like, okay, that's I kind of see where my dad is coming from now.
I mean, I'm
you
not gonna
see that
lie.
that yeah,
I
that's too
do
much
have a.
dedication. Go, sorry, my
I
bad.
was
My
gonna.
bad.
No, I was just gonna say like I'm not gonna lie. I do have a friend that like
Mhm.
if I don't want to call like okay, calling a call center is different than like your local Tim Hortons you go to every day, right? So when you like for a call center, I low key have a friend that like I give them all my information. I'm like, can you just call for me, please? Because I can't do it. I can't be cruel, and she can do it. I can't.
Mhm. Yeah. Like
I I
I'm
try to
sorry.
employ a balance. I try to employ a good middle ground of stern, but also be like, look, I get it. You're just the messenger, but I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just not doing it.
Mhm.
And they're
Yeah.
like, well,
And you know
sir,
what's
well, what about this? It's like, no, and I'm not mad at you, but just no.
But no.
and you and like on top of that, after the whole huff and puff was done with my dad, he asked them what their name is, and he gives them names like, "You've been extremely like patient with me, and I apologize." He always
Yeah.
forgives at the end, always forgives, and I'm just like, then
Yeah.
I don't get the tactic, Dad, but it's just I think it like yeah I do like I'm like that wine mom. I'm extremely nice
Yeah.
to customer service reps. My sister, she just like she's weird. Uh, she's nice, but with a hint of like what the fuck, right? So
That's my grandmother. That's my
and then
grandmother.
yeah, she's just like, cause like she called up Starbucks and they screwed up her order, and then she called up Starbucks. She's like, so, I was just like, you
Yeah.
handled that very well, better than I could have, or anybody else in this household. So,
Yeah.
like, people have their own ways of approaching this.
It's true.
I'm very jealous of your mom and very jealous of your grandma to get all those things
Hmm.
out of like, but like, yeah.
Well, it's like if you ask anybody, okay, so like Panda comes with me on a regular basis to like drive-throughs,
Mhm.
and I every time I go to a drive-through, I always say like good morning or hi, how are you? Like
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
always try to like engage them, right? And almost every time I get something for almost every
Ooh,
time.
Oh yeah.
nice.
Just by saying how are you. So like the Tim Hortons by my house, I have become friends with the the guy that's there usually at nighttime. And so I'll come to get a coffee or like I'll go something for my grandmother. He knows my whole family. He knows my whole family now. But like every time I go there, if it's in the evening time, I get like a whole bunch of donuts that I didn't pay
Hmm.
for, that I don't want, that I didn't ask for them, because they know that they can throw them out or take them home, and so that instead he gives them to me, and I'm like, all right, that's bad for my diet, but thank you,
Yeah, yo, you
appreciate
always
it.
gotta treat your coffee people right. I feel you there. Well, first of all, I was that guy. I've been the guy at the end of the night. You treat me
Yeah,
nice. I'm gonna come up to your shop like here's a bunch of fucking food. But
He was like, I will
exactly.
take you home with you. Take me home with you.
Yeah.
listen,
You
you
were
talk
nice to
about
me.
Toronto stuff is much needed. If you're in the city, treat the coffee folk nice, because you may be a bitch in the morning without your caffeine, but they've just dealt
Mhm.
with 15 bitches right before you. So if you
Mm-hmm.
smile and give them a little wink, that it's gonna make their day,
And then
especially if you're
a
as
blow a
attractive as
kiss,
Raza.
Yeah, like
give him a little spankaroo.
the Starbucks, the Starbucks by my salon, they would see me walking across the parking lot, and they would make my coffee as I was coming
Oh
across the
shit.
parking lot. So I would pay,
Um,
and then they would hand it to me because they knew.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
very. My
I love
friend,
that.
he works at KFC, and the one I got really like kind of like annoyed by this. He was just like, next time you order something, ask them how their day was. I'm just like, oh, I wasn't being rude. I just said, here's my order. And then at the window, I was just like, oh, thank you, blah blah. She asked me how my day was. I was like, it's doing good. Like, God, I don't need to be in the bosom of these
You do.
of these people. But generally speaking, I order my shit. I'm very nice. If it takes them, I see people freak out all the time, and I just
Hmm.
stand there, and it's my turn.
Hmm.
Like, okay, thank you, bye. Continue on my day. It takes no effort. But there's some motherfuckers who are just like, I want to have a 20-minute long conversation with
Yo,
you.
Yeah.
that is always
Customers,
wild, bro.
not,
Holy
yeah, no,
fuck.
no, yeah,
I
But I mean, like,
despise that as a server myself. But yo, because
yeah.
my personal
yeah.
story, right quick, is I used to win the best personal favors. Because I used to, so I'd work managed on Friday nights. I'd close the coffee shop. I'd close for like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. I would go across the street to the burrito place that's open till 3 a.m. I would give them like 10 coffees because they got to be up all night long. And then I close the restaurant. I go get hammered. By the time I'm drunk and done, they're going to give me a free burrito because I gave them all the coffee to work all night.
Uh-huh.
That's how he
When-
did it in my city. That's literally how he did it.
But it's the truth though, because I feel like living in Toronto gives you this weird idea of like very much like customer and service. That's it. And it's like a lot of people that I know treat service reps or like customer service people like just like garbage. And like I literally like I will block and delete your number if you were rude to a service worker when it's unjustified. Like
Mhm.
I don't tolerate that, especially because I worked in a very aggressive form of customer service. So like
Yeah.
it doesn't take that much just to be nice to these people because
Yeah.
they're gonna do more for you if you're nicer to them because they're people. And it's like
Mhm.
I've had people who have worked as service workers for me, like I said, like I went to the same Starbucks every single day, sometimes 3 times a day for 5 years. They knew me there and they would tell me, you know, we can give you literally your entire order for free if we want. We can do that. But we're
Sounds
not
like
going
a
to do
threat,
that.
not-
I know.
Yeah.
They're like, but we're not gonna do that for you if you're rude to us. Like we're gonna be more difficult and make it harder for you. And I'm like, absolutely,
Yeah.
because you know how many times I've had a spot available for a difficult client and I just don't give it to them because they're an asshole.
Right.
Sorry, get
Yeah,
your
you're
haircut
right.
tomorrow.
You're right. Okay, so since we are the literal masters of going off the rails, I loved this convo, but let's bring it back. We'll skip. I will first do the main apology and say that I messed up the topic here because I pitched it wrong at the beginning. So shout out to everyone who's listening and thank you for your patience because I do that too often. Now,
All 9 of you.
yeah, all 9 of you, and the listeners otherwise. But Raza, so since I introduced
Bayley.
the Bell Let's Talk and we just spent however long giving good knowledge on how to navigate these important issues when we're talking about how these companies have control in the Canadian market and what you can do about it, can you bless us with one last piece of advice? And then it's your turn right after that, Wine Mom.
Fuck. Be smart about your purchases because the cell phone companies will not anticipate that. If you research what I do all the time, literally before I switched my entire family over to Kudo, I did all the research, I did everything, compared between them and 2 other phone companies. I did everything, did my homework, and then when I went to Kudo, I was like, "Hey, you can't bend me over a barrel. I looked over the barrel already, and it's not big enough to be bent over." So if you come there with a preemptive attack and like armed with a lot of knowledge, you can swindle or not swindle, but you can get away with a pretty sexy discount and plan that otherwise you wouldn't get,
Yeah.
like what we got.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I mean, like, that's pretty much it. Do your research, but deliver your research with kindness. Okay? Disarm people with kindness. That's how you do it.
Put that last point in the star thing.
Yeah.
Asterisk. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, optional.
Italics.
That's what I mean. It has to be optional.
No, it's not optional.
Be kindness.
Deliver it with kindness, and you'll get so
Set
much
your
more.
authority, and then know who's daddy, and then show.
Listen.
I literally, this is how it happened. We negotiated so hard that the guy hand delivered the phone to our house.
No. He needed to know. He was like, "What? Who was I up against? I need to know."
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
He needs to
my
confront
phone
you.
wasn't there at the store. He showed up like a couple days later and dropped it off at my house. That's how you
Well-
show who's boss.
So
That's
in
how
other
you
words,
assert your dominance.
yes. So in other words, when you are getting into a situation like this, just send Raza a DM. He'll help you out.
Yes, I do. I will
He will
give
do
you the
all the work.
I'm the next. I'm the next cell phone company.
Next cell phone company. Okay.
Oh my god. Should open a negotiation service. That's what open up
Yeah,
an ad
the
on
five,
Fiverr and say, I'll
the
call
five,
the telephone companies for you.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, that's your
6
yeah, that's
negotiation
it.
service. To
That's your
just
side
knock them
hustle.
out.
Yeah.
Basically a personal assistant is what that is, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds about
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, a
Okay.
glorified
So
personal assistant like James
Yeah.
Bond.
Yeah.
we're moving on to an Am I the Asshole, where I have to be
Or-
woke here and I have to give a content warning about dead
I made it
naming
as
is the
PC
verb.
as I could.
No, you're okay. But if you're in the hyper progressive people, they it's dead naming. It's a controversial topic because that could cause trauma to someone
Oh,
because they
okay.
could be reminded of a moment that
Trigger
someone
warning.
used it purposefully. So trigger
My
warning in
bad.
that way. No,
Sorry.
you're right. It's
gonna
good that we're
go.
having topical combos.
I'm gonna go now.
Hey Raza, you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, I'm covering the bases, fam. I'm covering the bases. You good. So, Am I the Asshole? Is there a title? I missed the title. For
Yeah, it's
accidentally calling my trans friend by her dead name. I have a trans girlfriend that I've known since before knowing she transitioned. After she told me, I did my best to call her by her pronouns and her new name right away. But as I knew her as her previous identity over 5 years, I would slip up. I felt bad for it every time, despite her saying it was okay. Well, her current boyfriend didn't think it was okay. Her boyfriend is also trans, and I met him a couple days ago. When we were hanging out, I called out to my friend, accidentally calling her by her dead name. I quickly corrected myself and apologized. She laughed and said it was okay. She told me she was trans about a week and a half ago. After I was about to leave, her boyfriend stopped me and said, I don't know why she continues to be friends with someone so transphobic like you, and you can't ever seem to get her name right. I defended myself, saying I knew her as her dead name and as who she was before for 5 years, and that I wasn't trying to slip up, but he wouldn't listen and just told me to leave. I did, and now I feel awful. Am I the asshole?
No.
Ba, ba, ba. So, I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna go off because of my trans partner first, and then you can. I'm fine with you disagreeing. I won't get on a high horse. So,
Okay.
yes, but it is much like the misconception that people have now of you can do a racist act, but you are not a racist. You know what I mean? Like you need to embrace those things. So I think it is one of those things in this scenario. I think you did an asshole thing. But considering they're very understanding and they have the context, so they are not an asshole overall, but they did slip up. So I think it's a difficult situation. It's tough. It's not fair that the partner lashed out at them by any means because of that. But you also, in that situation, if you dead name someone, you also shouldn't defend yourself immediately. If you're corrected, you say thank you. And then if you want, you have a convo about it. But if you're immediately on the defensive, then you're making up excuses for a mistake that you acknowledge that was a mistake, because otherwise you wouldn't have to make an excuse. Right?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
One mom.
I don't think they're an asshole. I think it's like it's hard. This is hard for me to to talk about.
It's tricky.
I don't think all your points are valid. My only argument is that I still don't think that they are an asshole for that mistake, because I feel that in an intimate situation between friends where this is a common occurrence and the friend is okay with it and they've had conversations about it and it's fine, like it takes time for people to adjust and get used to things. And when you have been calling someone something their entire life, it's very hard to change that. Like if you guys, like I've known Bayley for a long time. If you just changed your name, it's gonna take me forever to ever call you by a different name. Because I put this in perspective of like, okay, this is not the same as a dead name, but I had a situation where I had a friend that I had met online. So I knew them by their real name, but I also knew them by their IGN or their online name, right? And we hung out together in person. And it was mentioned to me that it would be uncomfortable if I used their IGN in a social setting around their friends because their friends wouldn't know what that means or understand, or it would be uncomfortable. I said, yeah, sure, like no problem. Literally, first thing I did was call them by their IGN in front of a, and I was like, I am garbage
Yeah.
person. But I've also never known them by any other name than that. I had only just started to learn their new name and like, well, their actual name. And I still to this day, after knowing this person for like almost 10 years now, I still make that slip up. I apologize for it.
Yeah.
I correct myself. But like Freudian slips happen, and I feel like in the friendship dynamic, if they're okay with it, it's fine. And I understand the partner's position of wanting to like defend their partner and come forward like that, but I also feel that they need to maybe be a little bit more sensitive to the situation and try and have a conversation with their partner first before lashing out at their partner's friend,
Yes.
because I feel like that's uncool.
I would, in agreement, also say that that's a prick move too. I'm very comfortable saying that publicly. That is, they shouldn't have to lash out in that way, because then you're also judging immediately on that one basis. Because it seems like that they've been caring and trying, and if this was the one case, it's like okay to call them out, but it's like. It's also, you don't need to call them a transphobic fuck right away. You know what I mean? Like, that is a bit of a prick of a jump. You can call them out and be stern about it, but, you know, you don't also need to be a dick at the same time.
I mean, like, it's something so simple as, like, if they called you by the dead name as the partner, you literally could just say their actual name. So, like, let's say their dead name is Jen, but their actual name that they've chosen is Kristen. So if I was like, oh, Jen, then the partner could be like, Kristen. And I'd be like, yes, Kristen. Like, without embarrassing the person and making it a bigger deal than it is, and just like helping remind them that, okay, it's a different name. Like, use the right name, you know? You can do it in a gentler way, because I feel like as a partner, a new partner, and a third party, it's a little inappropriate to interject in that situation, especially with gender identity and with naming and stuff like that. Like, you don't know the full dynamics of that friendship if they have known each other for that long period of a time. I feel like it's a little bit not your place to jump in like that. But again, I also don't know, because they're getting the story from one side, so we don't know the full scope of like how often it's happening, if it's done maliciously or not, or what the intent appears like, right? But again, the one comment you made about like the inherently racist things, if you are doing inherently racist things, but you're not racist, but you're still doing racist things, and you have to admit that you are racist. It's like, that's a very harsh comparison when you compare it to something like calling someone a dead name when you've known them longer than they've had a new name, right? Like, I feel like it's a little aggressive to use that terminology, but I understand your comparison.
You're still doing a transphobic act, which is okay.
Right.
It doesn't mean you are transphobic, but you accidentally did a transphobic act, so you kind of got to admit that. Right? It's kind of like if I said, "Hey, Raza, you make curry because you're probably better at it than me," right? I'm not inherently racist, but I just did a racist thing to him. You know what I mean?
We'll clip that.
I mean, okay, but so in this instance, Raza, is that something that you would consider a racist thing?
Me personally, no, but like I do think other people would. So it depends on who you're at.
Because I mean, like, if somebody said to me, "You're white, so you definitely are better at making hot dogs than me," I'd be like, "Heck yeah!" Like, I don't see in that sense, because I mean, like, you're gonna go to the source of the person who knows something better.
Yeah.
But again,
I see where you're at. I'm not in a grumpy Bayley stance right now. I do see where you're coming from. I'm not in a grumpy Bayley stance.
I'm just saying, like, in some situations we're too quick to, let's say that we're too quick to take a blurry line and go, it's black and white, period. It's either you're this or you're that. And it's like, okay, but you also have to look at the context of that situation. You know, if I went to Raza and I was like, okay, you teach me how to make the samosas because you probably know how to do it better. I know I can ask Raza that because he talked about samosas. He knows a lot about samosas. He tells me what places are best to get samosas. His mom makes them on a regular basis. Yeah. I can assume Raza probably knows more about making samosas than I do, right? So it's like in that situation with the friends, like they're going to assume the well-meaning of the friend more than the, you know?
No, and this is why I'm not. This is why I'm not on a high horse for you here, because I totally agree with you. Because if you've created, if you and the friend have created that relationship, then a little bit of that needs to be honored. You know what I mean? That's why it is toxic to jump on it right away. I do agree with you there.
Because that's my only complaint with that argument, is that I feel like it wasn't the partner's place to get that aggressive that fast, especially with you're a new person to the dynamic and you don't know the full scope of the relationship. Because you also don't know like what's that are jokey and not jokey between people and things like that. And it's like you kind of have to like maybe talk to your partner first and find out where the line is being crossed if you're comfortable or uncomfortable.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like you're bringing your own experiences and expecting the people.
Yeah, you're being
have
right.
The same
you're projecting a little bit. Yeah. I feel that it's a little projecty, but again, like
you said it. No,
I think that's fair.
No, because I feel like it's a genuine mistake that could be made. Because I know that I have done that in the past, and it's not out of disrespect towards my friend. It's literally just out of like a knee-jerk reaction, like normal, like my genuine normal response to things. Right?
Yeah.
That's true. I think that was a good summary. I think we're gonna end up talking in circles, but I do agree. I don't know. I feel like we have two differing points, but they kind of coexist.
Right. I feel it's like like you're not an asshole, but you're being a bit of a lazy friend. Like you should try a little bit harder.
The top comment of this, or the top like voted thing on this, was a trans person, and they were saying them personally wouldn't feel offended, but then again at the same time it's just them. So what to what y'all were saying, I don't find what Bayley said racist, but other people would. So it's
Twitter
would.
You know?
Twitter would, yeah. So it's cancel worthy. Let's make it that way. Yeah. So like it depends on who you ask, but the vast majority, like mob rules at the end of the day. So like everything can be taken out of context. But what we'll be doing to Bayley at the end of the stream. So just ask around. Just be just know who you're talking to first.
Yeah.
Then,
that was good advice. Good.
I like putting bow ties on everything.
Let's bow tie the whole pod. But so I got the tweet of the day for you right quick. I got the tweet of the day from Raza here to lighten the mood. It is on screen now. It is quite simple. It is just been washing my balls more often.
That's what the tweet of the day is, or the week is. Raza. I should hope that every man is washing their balls. Really, please? No special occasions? Just wash your fucking nuts.
You actually, the amount of times my homies have told me that they don't do it.
No, Raza! No!
Musky!
Hello?
What did they say about
you
this?
Get sweaty!
Oh, yeah, bro.
Whenever you take a shower, don't forget your treasure chest.
as of recently, the more mature I've been getting, Wine Mom, I've been talking since I'm polyamorous and I
Yeah.
talks with people. Yo, it's common, bro. My partners have told me like, yo, often they'll go down there. And it's like, yo, this is stank.
No.
Like, yo,
No.
it's
No.
unbelievable
I
how
can't.
unhygienic dudes could be, bro.
Ew.
Yeah, dude.
It's like the
Yeah,
whole
dude.
people who. I can't.
Yeah,
So lesson of the week: don't get scammed by phone companies and fucking
Wash
wash
your
your balls, bro.
Dirty dirt.
Yes.
Nasties.
No. I'll say it. Do your research when buying a cell phone and wash your damn balls.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Tips of the week, kids. All right, so if
No,
you're
but-
watching this live, hang out because we're about to chat. If you're listening to the recorded version, if you tune in on Mondays, we stream this recording session every single week. And if you hang out, you can talk with us afterwards. All right?
So the podcast
Wait.
is about to pivot to Halo. So get ready
Yes. Also,
for that.
before Bailey does the outro,
Yeah, do it.
Rihanna is pregnant.
Yeah, dude.
Yo.
I
And
wanna
she
know.
looks perfect. Thank you.
Long live
God.
ASAP. Long live ASAP.
Oh my gosh.
My one chance of happiness is gone. One
Anyways,
chance.
congratulations, Rihanna. You look so beautiful. Boy.
ASAP is a lucky man. Let's put that out there. Thank you again for watching us badly talk about these topics.
You can follow us on Twitch, Marching Into Madness, all one word, no space. On the gram, marching_into_madness, and on Patreon at patreon.com/marchingintomadness. And again, on Le Discord at Marching Into Madness.
Join us and Bailey will pay you 10 whole Canadian dollars.
You can follow Whitey over at gnarly_media on the Insta. You must definitely follow the life of our whole podcast, Wine Mom, at X Wine Mom X, because the year's 2002, and we still have the X in our names. And me, your favorite brown boy, at _R.R_Malik_.
Thank you for the third time. We love you. Drink some milk and be healthy.
Remember, kids, say no to school and yes to
It's like such bad advice. It's like here we put this well-formulated podcast together with good insight on facts and truth and political points and social issues. Don't go to school, dude.
Oh God.
Bailey listens to
Motherfucker
me.
shouldn't be near school after saying that.
It's like Bailey listens to me say the sentence and he goes, maybe I should say my sentence now.